This is the Learn How podcast with Andy Isom, and you're listening to episode number 11. What's up, guys? Welcome back. This was one of my all-time and probably will remain one of my all-time favorite interviews on the Learn How podcast. I had the privilege of sitting down and chatting with Miles Beckler from milesbeckler.com. Miles is here to help people achieve time, location, and financial independence with internet marketing. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got a podcast focused on internet marketing and entrepreneurship. And he's just so real. He reminds me a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk, if you've heard of him, where he just spits the truth and doesn't take any shortcuts. He knows that it takes a lot of hard work. And in less than 18 months, Miles was able to grow his YouTube channel to over 40,000 subscribers, over 1 million views on his videos, and he just grinded it out. He was putting out videos every single day until he was able to build some authority on YouTube, and now he is reaping the benefits. Miles started finding success online with his wife as they together built a successful online business, and now Miles is here to share with the world his experiences, what he's doing to continue to build his wife's online business, and all of the tips and strategies and tactics and things that he's learned along the way, which are helping him create his very own successful online business. And Miles is just such an authentic guy, so many tactics, so many strategies. He was the guy that was waking up at 4 a.m. to hustle before going to work. He had to move back in with his mom when he was 30. Him and his wife had to move back in. And he talks about that experience, how it helped him grow, how it helped him focus, and what he's doing now to be really, really successful. So if you want to start a YouTube channel, if you're already doing a YouTube channel, if you want to start an online business, if you want to learn how to do some content marketing, content creation, whether that's blogging, podcasting, video, you are going to love this episode. There are so many tips and strategies that you can start applying. And if anything, this episode was more for me than for anyone else. And it was so inspiring and motivating to talk to Miles. So let's jump in right to the interview with Miles Beckler. All right, guys, I'm here with Miles Beckler from milesbeckler.com. Miles, thanks so much for joining us today on the Learn How podcast.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having me on.
So I got to give a little bit of a background here. I actually don't know Miles personally at all. I actually just stumbled upon his YouTube channel. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. And honestly, I can't even remember how I found you. It was probably like a suggested video of some sort. I'm really big into learning from other people out there that are doing online business. And so I just stumbled upon your channel and it just really resonated with me. We were kind of chatting before about Gary Vaynerchuk. And I mean, that's one of my favorite podcasts that I listen to right now. And just like one of my favorite, I guess, online marketers, content creators. And I watched your stuff and it really fit that Gary mold of just being so true and so real that I wanted to get you here on the podcast to chat a little bit about your journey and your experiences. So for those of us that, don't really know much about you, when did you decide to get into online business and internet marketing? And like, what's your short, I guess, backstory to this whole thing?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you noticed that kind of similarity with Gary V. We definitely see eye to eye on quite a few things. It started, the first money I ever made online was 2003. So like literally 15 years ago. I was in college. I was working at the college radio station, and my program director, who was another student, he noticed I always had to go to work like 3-4 times a day, like before class, before my radio show, after class. And he's like, Miles, let me show you this little thing on the side so you can maybe make a little money so I could get your attention and your help around the radio station a little bit more. So he taught me how to essentially do affiliate marketing direct linking someone from MySpace, to date myself a little bit, over to what's called like CPA, or cost per acquisition, which means I earned a commission when someone clicked through my link and signed up for that thing I was promoting. That's actually the wrong way to go about it. There was no relationship building. I was against their terms of service. And about 6 months later, maybe a year later, they turned it off and they canceled all my links and it went to zero. But that taste, getting real checks in the mail, doing things on my computer on the side that turned into actual money I was able to deposit into my bank account, like it got real at that moment in time. And I think that was when it really was like, I'm all in on this. Somehow I'm going to figure it out. Little side note, it took me about 7 years from that point to figure out and go full-time online. I got a degree. I tried real estate investing. I tried other things, but there was a big gap of testing and tweaking till I got to the full-time online part.
So on your YouTube channel, I saw in one of your videos that your wife has a successful online business as well.
Yep.
Was that business, did that come before your online business? And did that kind of help you have some freedom to build your business? How did that help you?
Great question. And so my platform, which is Miles Beckler, the .com or the YouTube channel, is essentially teaching everything my wife and I have learned from building that brand. So in 2009, my wife and I started a website where we sell meditations. They're actually, it's the intersection of angels and meditations. And we've learned so, I mean, that was what, 9 years ago at this point. We've learned so much of what doesn't work, and we've learned a few things that do work. In 2016, I started my channel to start sharing what works for us, mainly out of frustration that so many internet marketers are writing these overly hyped sales letter. They're selling overpriced products that don't deliver. And I was just like frustrated. I'm like, man, I'm just going to put this all out there for the world. I'm going to document the process, going back to kind of Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm just going to move the free line and I'm just going to lay it all out for free. I'm going to show everything we're doing. Sometimes you got to zig when everyone else is zagging. And that's what I did then. So at this point, I'm actively operating both businesses. I'm still full-time is my wife and my business, the Angel Meditations, and then the Miles Beckler brand and this stuff is kind of like the side gig at this point that I'm having a lot of fun with.
You said something that I really liked, something that I'm seeing a lot nowadays, especially from the younger, I guess, generation, is people are so quick to make a quick buck online. My Facebook timeline, and it's probably, I guess, my fault a little bit because I search for internet marketing and all that kind of stuff. But
the echo chamber.
Oh, my Facebook timeline is just packed with Facebook ads from gurus, and self-proclaimed gurus trying to sell me a course and all this stuff. And It's a lot of people trying to make a quick buck. So I like what you said about how you're just like, Gary V, I'm just going to throw it all out there for free. And something that came to mind was Pat Flynn, another podcast that I listened to from Smart Passive Income. He said something that just really stuck out to me that said, focus on providing value and the money will follow. And so 100%. I think that's something that we just kind of need to get back to as entrepreneurs is just quit worrying about like trying to make a quick income and focus on providing value and a lot of just free, valuable content. And people are going to repay you for that down the road.
Yeah, it all comes back around. And, Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about putting in the work and shoveling shit for 3 years type thing. But he's always going back to, he's playing this long-term game, right? Like he's going after the Jets. Like that's going to be about a $2 billion purchase, right? Like it's a ridiculous amount of money. So everything he's doing right now, the actions he's taking in this moment are actually focused on what's the 5 and 10 year plus outcome. Whereas there's so many people trying to get that flash in the pan success. And all they can think about is like, damn, I got bills right now, or I want to have that Lambo right now, like moon now, right? So it's just a philosophical difference. And I have seen so many people make so much money online and then disappear, and they either burn out, they fizzle out, people realize they're total scams and cheats. It does not last. And man, I'm filling up 401ks. I'm paying for my older self. Like, I'm taking this very, very, very seriously as a business that needs to be able to support my wife and I until our 90s and maybe beyond. Like, I don't know, maybe Elon Musk can figure out how we can live to 120. And that just means I need to have more and, be able to be prepared for that. It's definitely a philosophical shift. And like, I do think Pat Flynn's on it in some senses, but he's one of my challenges with that guy is he's just preaching that passive and it's easy. And like, like there is nothing passive in successful business. And I think Gary Vaynerchuk shows that. And I think Gary Vaynerchuk debunks that myth very, very clearly. And I mean, here it is, 5:45 in the evening. And we're grinding it out still. I'm in some senses, I'm making enough to cover my lifestyle, but I'm just thinking that long-term vision, and I'm willing to put in the time and the work right now. And it's very active. It takes a lot of effort to put it in, but the results, man, the long-term results when you get it dialed in right are just remarkable.
For sure. I wanted to maybe ask you a big challenge. I think that a lot of people are facing with the long-term game, with not trying to earn a quick buck, but focus on building a legitimate audience, providing free value. How are you still able, when you're like starting an online business, how are you still able to pay the bills, put food on the table when you're focused on providing free content for someone that's just starting out? What would you suggest?
Right. Get a job. Literally. And that's exactly, and the reason I suggest that is that because that's exactly what I did. So at one point I thought I was all in on my business, and it just folded. And I went and got a full-time job back in the Bay Area. My wife and I actually had to move back into my parents' house when I was like 30. Very, very challenging and depressing time in my life. But out of that came a new level of hunger. So my wife and I both got full-time jobs, and I would set my alarm for 4:30 in the morning. I would work for 3 hours before I went and commuted. On my commute, I would listen to audiobooks and podcasts and things that would further my mindset. And then I'd get home and I'd work till 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night till I went to bed. I'd get 5-6 hours sleep maybe. And then weekends, I worked every single weekend, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. I didn't do happy hour. I didn't do barbecues. Like, none of my homies who I grew up with, like, I just didn't see them. I was in that same hometown, but literally I was so focused on making the side gig work. But I had to take that pressure off. And to get that pressure off, I got a customer support job, like a call center desk job. I was literally like alt tab, switching screens in the call center, working on my website when I had little moments, lunch breaks, everything. And I went into absolute overdrive, and that willingness to step it up and to go that much harder came from the challenge of literally having to move back into my parents' house at like 30, thinking I had it figured out, and then it all kind of crumbled out from under me. And so sometimes like those big challenges and those things that make us think like, why is this happening to me, can actually be really, really motivating, and they can be leverage on ourselves.
Man, that is real hustle right there. I think so many people don't realize how much work it really takes to be successful in online business. I see so many kids who think it's so easy, and I'm like, I'm here grinding away. I'm barely over, 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I feel like I put in so much time and energy into doing stuff and promoting stuff. Yeah. And yeah, it's a lot of work. So I want to talk a little bit about your YouTube channel and your podcast.
Sure.
So you started your YouTube channel from what I can tell in around August of 2016. Does that sound right?
Yep, exactly. Before that, I had 0 subscribers, 0 videos, 0 views.
Okay, so that's not very long ago. So we're looking at like what, just over a year and a half, if even that?
Just under a year and a half as of this recording.
Yeah, so that's pretty amazing. And that was something I think the very first video I saw on your channel was a video where you were talking about gaining subscribers, and you shared your numbers, how at the beginning you were posting every single day. After 1 month you were at this many subscribers, the next month this many.
50.
Yeah. And you
it was on the whiteboard, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And so you're writing down
Exactly. And like, if I'm sorry to jump in, like you just got me all excited from that, because that's the truth. And that's why I'm documenting the process from zero again is, so I started with 120 videos. I published one video a day for 120 days. That's a video a day every day for 4 months straight. I got the flu during that time, posted a video a day while I had the flu. And I mean, I got laid out by the flu. I traveled to, I go to a few events in Asia. So you literally lose a day when you travel. It was a 40-hour travel time in planes and airports. I still published on that day. And out of all of that work, literally 120 videos, 120 days, at the end of it, I think I had like 455 subscribers or something like that. But something magic happens when you prove to the algorithm and the search engines that you're a content creator, that you're for real, and you do just a little bit of optimization, like search engine optimization type stuff, keyword research. From that point, your results compound. And at this point, less than a year and a half, I'm at what, like 45,000 subscribers, 1.5 million views, and the number of minutes viewed is just astounding. And I'm only publishing 3 times a week now. So I'm doing less work today than when I started, but I had to do that work to show YouTube I was real. I'm an actual content creator. I'm a contributor to your platform. I'm putting out the best content I can. And then I got in that marathon runner's pace. And the real interesting part is, what's the result going to be at the 3-year mark and the 5-year mark? Because that's the point I'm trying to prove.
Yeah, I've noticed that same thing too with my channel. My channel, of course, is not that big, but I had a video. I was posting iPhone tutorials about a year ago, and I wasn't posting every day, but I was posting iPhone tutorial videos, and I wasn't getting very many views. I mean, I had no subscribers. The first 100 subscribers is a pretty big grind to get to, but it was weird. After like 6 months, out of nowhere, all those very first videos just like started to take off, and then still
Right.
today they're still getting like 100 or 200 views a day, when for the first 6 months they were getting like 3 views a day. So
It's the
yeah,
power of compounding.
yeah, I totally agree that if you're listening and you're trying to start a YouTube channel, or you have started a YouTube channel and you're getting really frustrated with those first 100 subscribers or those views, I'm serious, you just got to be patient. It just takes time, and you just have to stay consistent, and YouTube will reward you for your consistency over time, and you'll start to improve. Your stuff will get better. I mean, I figured out how to make better thumbnails, and you just learn a lot along the way.
Totally. Better thumbnails, better titles, getting better click-through rates. You just get more comfortable with the process. The same thing, it's really important to mention, the same exact thing works on blogging. So if you're a writer, like I don't love writing. My wife's website, to go back to that one we started in 2009, she kicked it off with a 90-day challenge focused on the written word on our WordPress blog. So it's the same approach. Alphabet owns Google and YouTube. So there's a similar algorithm that works. And when you prove that you're a content publisher, you're in it for the long term, you'll start to grow. What happened in your situation, a couple of things happened. Number one is, once you publish enough videos, you gain some channel authority. And the channel authority actually increases the authority of every single individual video that you have. On the written word, we get what we call domain authority, and that increases the authority that every post we put out has. And it's like the rising tide floats all boats theory, but you don't get that kind of lift until you're in the 50, 100, 200 video range. What I really try to help people shift their mindset on is only focus on the output, because that's what you can control. You can control how many videos you're publishing. I was able to control how many videos I published every day for that 4-month period. I was in full control of that situation, and it was a total pain in the ass, I'll be honest, but I was in control. I did not focus on how much am I making, what results am I getting from this, because that's how doubt creeps in. That's how those thoughts like, oh man, is it really worth it? Ooh, that's a danger zone right there. Because you can't control the results. You can only control your effort. And if you stick with it long enough, you'll find a few things that work. You've probably seen it as well. Like when I finished that 120-day challenge, like 3 of my videos had like 80% of my views. And I did not have a clue that those 3 specific topics were going to be so viral. It took trying 100 different things to find those three things that really, really clicked. And then I just went and did a lot more videos on those topics to cover all the nuts and bolts, because it was like, oh, clearly this works for the YouTube ecosystem. I'll go do more of what works.
I love that right there. Focus on what you can control, the output. I'll be honest with you. I was only posting on my YouTube channel 1 or maybe 2 videos a week for like the first 10 months. And it was actually just recently, kind of right around the time I discovered that video where you were talking about how you posted a video every single day for 120 days, that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to grind it out. I can do this. I got to pick it up. And so that's when I decided to launch my 30 apps in 30 days. So I'm putting out a new video every day for 30 days with an iPhone app review of apps that I use, how I use them, and that sort of thing. And
Brilliant.
yeah, so like it's just something that I'm trying to do personally. So I mean, your video, that video impacted me at least to kind of
Awesome.
pick up my pace a little bit.
Yep. And when you think about it, I always like to think about what is the platform's goal, right? Like obviously we have our goals and that's pretty easy, but it's like, what is YouTube's goal? Or if you're trying to do Instagram marketing, right? The same thought applies, or Snapchat or whatever, blogging on Google. What is YouTube's goal? YouTube makes money by selling advertising. Where does that advertising live? Well, it's generally pre-roll videos in front of videos. It can be like banner ads. There's a few other places it can be, but the main gist of the point is that the ads live on videos. So the more videos that get uploaded to YouTube, the more possibility that YouTube has to display advertising, whether you have monetization turned on or off. It doesn't matter. That's how their algorithm works. So when you said 1 to 2 videos per week for 10 months, that's something like 40 to 80 videos in 10 months. You essentially seeded YouTube with 40 to 80 potential points where they could advertise to people at some point in the future if you get monetization on. Well, they're like 40 to 80 units of happy for that. If you would have done 300 videos in that same time frame, YouTube would be 300 units of happy, because YouTube would start to look at you as like, man, this kid's putting out a lot of content. Man, we got a good chance to run some ads on this kid's channel. And you actually start to trigger their algorithm because they want consistent publishers. So it really does actually trigger something in their algorithm to help you get that kind of channel momentum in a major way. And then are you doing any keyword research out of curiosity? Have you been down that rabbit hole at all?
Yeah, so that's something that I've tried to really improve on recently. I use TubeBuddy with YouTube, and something that's really helped a lot of my videos, being a smaller channel, I mean, optimize SEO a little bit better, is
Yep.
I use Tag Explorer and I use Google's keyword tool to look
Cool.
for, keywords that are that I can compete in, that are searched a lot, but also like keywords that for a smaller channel like me, I can get in the suggested feed easier, I guess you could say.
So the theory is with the keyword, and the reason I mention it is because, I mean, for all the listeners, it's so important, is we have the ability to go look at the exact phrases people are using when they're searching for help with things. And that's what YouTube is, right? Your channel, you're teaching people how to use apps. So people theoretically are searching for how to use these apps. They find your stuff. You have a great video on the topic. Lots of people watch your full video. YouTube rewards you with more viewers. So the ability to put the finger on the pulse of like mass market and to understand what people are looking at is so powerful. So if you know for a fact that people are searching how to use Evernote, or if people are searching Evernote tricks or Evernote tips, if you know what search volume, which one of those phrases gets more search volume, you can go create a video that uses that exact title. It's the exact description.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what you put in the thumbnail. So when someone searches that exact phrase, everything you've done exactly matches that. They have an aha moment, they click, boom, everything works. If you just get the naming wrong on your titles and your descriptions, and you don't name it in the exact words that people are using and searching from, no one's going to ever find your content.
That's 100% true. And I've seen that, like you said, I've seen that in my own channel. That something too to remember, guys, if you're doing a YouTube channel, is to say the long tail keywords that you're using, say it in your video. You can't do the title that says how to use the reminders app or whatever, and then never say that in the entire video. Like try to consciously like think of the title before you start, and then make sure you say that phrase, that exact phrase, at least a couple times throughout the
Yep.
video.
Yeah, right in the beginning. YouTube is listening. Big
Yeah.
Brother is definitely listening. They're transcribing it. And there's a bunch of little hacks like that, but it's really, that whole philosophy of just creating content that people are looking for. Another tool, like I really like Keyword Finder. I've got a video on that, but it is a paid tool. Another free tool that's really fun to browse around on is Google Trends. Have you found that one?
Yeah, I've used that a little bit.
Little bit. You can kind of compare. So if you're looking at two different phrases like how to use Evernote and Evernote tips, you could kind of like see which direction, which one's graphing up and which one's graphing down, and it overlays graphs. And it's really interesting. I think I looked one time at like Netflix and God, and like Netflix was out trending in searches God, and I thought that was really interesting. But another one of those interesting free tools that's available for us to literally look inside of the like mass consciousness in some unique way.
For sure. I want to, I mean, we've been talking a lot about content creation and YouTube.
Yep.
And I mean, we know that it's important to create content, especially if you're dealing with any type of online business. What would you suggest for people that are having a hard time maybe finding time to create a lot of good, valuable content? How do you personally manage your content creation schedule without feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Deadlines are super motivating for me. I'll often, get right up against that deadline, but I won't miss a deadline on something, I promise. I've got a speaking gig in Slovenia at this marketing conference in Europe, and he was like, "Hey, can you submit an article by February 28th?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem." Sure enough, February 28th rolls around, and I haven't done it yet. And guess what I did that day? I did the article. So really committing to a schedule and truly committing. The other thing I think about is my audience, right? Like I'm on this Monday, Wednesday, Friday publishing schedule. I kind of fiddle. I sometimes do Saturday live streams on that last day, but Monday, Wednesday, 3 times a week for sure. And it's not about me. It's about my audience. It's about this group of people who I'm helping along a path. And if I don't show up, I'm actually giving them permission to not show up, which is the one thing that would destroy their business. Therefore, I can't show up because not just about the message I'm giving out, it's about being that example, and leading by example is another one for me. Then we gotta get a little Gary V in here. It's been at least 7 minutes since we've talked about Gary V. But knowing thyself, right? What type of content creation is in your DNA? So my wife started our first site, our big site, off of the written word. And that site today gets like 700, 800,000 visits a month. It's ridiculous at how much SEO traffic. So she blogged every day, written word, 90 days. She did 2 90-day challenges and really kicked that site up through the written word. So I'm looking at those results like, okay, I got to write, I got to blog. But I hate writing. I hate writing. Like school was, oh man, the stuff I would turn in, C's get degrees was my philosophy. And it was mainly because I just didn't like writing these reports and all that. So I tried to force myself to blog for years on milesbeckler.com. Just didn't work. I wouldn't stick with it. I'd write 2 1 month. I wouldn't write another one for 6 months later. I never got a rhythm. I'd never gotten a groove. I got challenged at a personal development seminar to do something every day for 90 days that scares the shit out of you. Kyle Cease's Evolve Out Loud event, highly recommend it. He's a comedian who does personal transformation. And I decided to do a video every day for 90 days. It scared me. I knew I needed to get my message out. And within 2 or 3 days, I realized that that's my medium, like speaking and talking and being on camera. That's easy for me. So once I started doing what was in my DNA as kind of a performer, that's kind of my personality type, everything got easy. And now I have a team, I have systems in place to take my spoken content and turn it into blog posts and turn it into my podcast. All I have to do is that one thing that's easy for me over and over and over and over and over. And I can do a great video, super comprehensive in like 1/10 the time it would take me to write a blog post on the topic. And I honestly wouldn't even finish the blog post. So that's a huge component, is really finding what you're comfortable with and doubling down on what you're good at or what really resonates with you or what your skills are.
And that really does just take, you just got to experiment with it. If you're listening and you're kind of telling yourself, well, I hate writing, I don't like being filmed, I don't like talking in a microphone. And I mean, that's written, video, audio. The thing is, like, That's kind of how I was too. Like I really wanted to get into online business. I didn't really like writing blog posts. I was really self-conscious in front of the camera. I didn't like listening to myself, but I just gave it a shot and I just started trying. And you just got to give it some time. Just like stick it out for a little while, test it out, and you'll find that you actually do gravitate towards one thing a little bit better than the other. And I've like you, I've kind of gravitated towards video and audio, and you start to feel a lot more comfortable as time goes on.
It's awkward at first, for sure. I mean, anyone who's watching, like, please go watch my first videos in my 90-day challenge. It's awkward. I'm very rigid. I'm like, you could just see it. It's just so uncomfortable. Think about snowboarding. Like, have you ever been snowboarding by any chance?
I ski.
There you go. So when you learn skiing, right, it's like French fryer pizza and you're just falling all
Mm-hmm.
the time and it makes no sense. Or surfing. Gosh, surfing's like trying
Oh,
to ride avalanches that are coming at
oh
you.
yeah, for sure.
It's the most difficult sport in the world. And like people who are good at it make it look easy. I make these videos look pretty easy at this point because I've done it 320 times in a year and a half, right? Like my first ones was me falling over and over, trying to catch that wave, trying to time that wave, trying to catch that wave. Everything in life has a learning curve and we have to get through it. That's the other benefit, I think, of doing like a 90-day challenge or, you know, you doing 30 videos in the next 30 days, boom, by the end of that, you're going to be like, man, I'm gonna keep going. This is actually really easy now because I've done it 30 times in a row. And like, this fits into my everything really, really compactly. So I'm just going to be able to keep this going for longer. Yeah, it's worth the effort all in all, for sure.
So getting back a little bit to online business
Yep.
and centered around, of course, content creation. This is a question that I've been asked, and we've talked a lot in this episode about creating free content, focusing on the long term. But for someone who's just getting started with an online business, like it could be around a YouTube channel or a podcast or a blog, or maybe they're trying to be like an Instagram influencer, what would you suggest as ways to monetize your business without coming across as like one of those spammy, uh, get rich quick, or you're just out to make a quick buck? Do you have any
Yeah.
suggestions for those who are trying to monetize their brand?
Absolutely. So first, let's start with kind of like a in the clouds level, and then we'll jump into the dirt with a little bit of tactical. So the clouds level is, you know, the most successful businesses, internet-based businesses, we're generally selling information. We can also sell services, but what we're really ultimately doing for people is we're saving them time, we're saving them money. That's the ultimate goal. There is a component of entertainment, right? Like some vloggers do it well. Like look at Blockbuster hits, right? And like Hollywood, it's all entertainment. There's definitely money in that. That's just not what I get. I'm teaching how to super specific. So when someone goes to YouTube or Google and they're like, how to advertise on Facebook, they find my blog post that has 31 videos that shows every single step in the process. So it's kind of taking that mindset or philosophy that your job is literally that of researcher and educator. And what I'm doing is I'm taking all of my experiences with, for this example, Facebook advertising, and I go try to make someone's approach to learning that, I try to help them through the learning curve more quickly. I save them time. They fall in love with me because I help them get the result that they want very quickly. But then that doesn't really get into monetization yet. So how do you get it into monetization? The most important thing for people to remember, I think, is you got to build an email list. You have to invite people into your inner circle with some sort of freemium content. That's a mashup of free and premium that is gated with an opt-in. And we've all seen them. They're the landing pages, you know, like enter your email below to learn my 7 secret steps to blank, right? Those kinds of opt-ins. It could be a PDF report. It could be a video training. It could be a cheat sheet. It could be an audio interview. The actual technical deliverable can be all kinds of different things. But the ultimate goal is you have a dedicated page somewhere that has no other options on it, no navigation, nothing. And it's essentially offering them something free that's of value, that's going to save them time and add value to their life in exchange for their email address. Once they're on your email list, your email list is your distribution channel. That's ultimately how you sell things. It could be physical things, it could be books, it could be courses, it could be memberships, it could be services. It's always going to sell more readily and more easily through your email list. And the one trick, the one of the key is to give lots of value to your email list. Gary Vaynerchuk, again, jab, 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 right hook. You got to throw in those jabs. And for those who aren't familiar with that phrase, it means give, 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 ask. So you got to give multiple pieces of value. Those are individual emails before asking someone to take action, which is showing them an offer saying, hey, do you want to buy this thing? Whether it's a product or a service, this, that. In my first online business, I learned when I was in college, my friend taught me I was not building an email list. And I mentioned earlier that I was doing it wrong because I was direct linking people from the social network over to the affiliate thing. When that died and I couldn't publish my links anymore, my income went to zero. But had I been linking people from the social media site to my website so they opt in for something free and then give them access to the affiliate product and make the money on the back end, I maybe would have not made as much, maybe 10%, 20% less, but I actually would still be able to be earning income from that to this day. And had I had a list of tens of thousands of people, because I sent hundreds of thousands of visitors to that website, I literally would have been able to continue to make money with that list for years and years and years to come. So it's really like realizing that your email list is your distribution channel and really focusing on giving value and then ultimately offering things, affiliate products, physical products, memberships, done for you, done with you services, etc.
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I've been trying to focus on recently as well. I made the mistake of not focusing on building an email list till just like a couple months ago. And I've seen a big difference of just trying to focus on providing, like you said, some free resources. I've got some free guides to help people out, and not going into a quick sell in that first email. I'm actually not going into a quick sell really for anything right now. I don't have courses or anything. I'm just trying to make sure I'm providing value through email. And so if you're listening, I've got a page on my website, learnhowgroup.com/resources, that kind of shows some of the resources and tools that I'm using to build my email list, to build my website, stuff like that. So you can check that out if you want to learn a little bit more about the tools that I'm using. But yeah, an email list, I really do think can really help a lot in creating that really tight-knit community. Are there any ways that you've found success, or ways that you've found more success than others in building your email list?
A lot of testing. So when I was doing that 120-day challenge, I actually didn't even start my own opt-in page until like 90 plus days into the process. It was funny. My wife was just on me and she was just like, what would you tell your students to do? And it's like, all right, I get it. And she was totally right. So that's normal what you did, right? You just kind of jump in, and all we can think about when we're paddling into our first wave is like the get up move. We're not really thinking about how to turn anything else. Like it's that one thing. That's all I could take on. The energy was making that one video a day. But once that gets easy, you can kind of work on the next steps. So good on you for sticking with it down the path. Really, I just think that, making sure you have a dedicated page that is offering something that your audience truly wants, it's really going to help them. So for your niche, like if you're doing all of these app kind of explainers, you start to think and really taking the time to get into the mind of your best potential audience, right? So like if you can see in your data that you have a lot of baby boomers who are watching your app videos, you can start to realize like, okay, so these older folks are getting like their first Apple device. They're uncomfortable. They don't really know how to use it, and they're searching for help on it. Cool. Well, maybe I could make the free video guide of the 7 things you need to do right away when you get your new Apple iPhone or iPad, right? And then testing lots of different things, and you see how that works, and you measure the conversion rate. And so my first opt-in, well, I guess I'm on my 3rd version of my opt-in giveaway at this point, right? So I tried number 1 and it kind of worked. It was easy to get going, but it didn't really convert that great. And I tried number 2, which was like this case study thing that I put together, and it kind of worked a little better, but it still didn't work great. And now I've put together this pretty comprehensive free course that is working the best out of anything I've tried. And it's kind of testing those ideas. And every time I wanted to create a new giveaway, I was like, all right, who's my audience? Okay, they're, younger guys from 18 to 34. They're obviously trying to figure out this business thing. Like, what is their ultimate desire? Okay, how does my story fit into that? And then creating that thing that not only is going to help them, but they know they already want. So when they see it, they're like, aha, that's what I want. And they take action. And then I give them what they want to actually help them get on their path, because we need to demonstrate results in advance for our clients. We need to show people that we can help them. And when you show someone that you can help them for free, then when you offer them something to buy, they're going to be like, yeah, dude, his free stuff was great. Of course I'm going to buy his thing. Like everything else he's done has been fantastic.
One more question before we let you
Sure.
go today. If you don't mind sharing, what are some of the mistakes you made early on when you were just getting started with online business, or things that you wish you would have done when you were first starting out? What are some of those mistakes, and what do you wish you would have done differently?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. Spreading my focus too thin. When you learn how to build a website on WordPress and you learn the basics of this stuff, it's natural to kind of have that aha moment of like, aha, I could make a website about everything. And then all of a sudden you've got like 15 different products or projects, not even product, 15 different projects and all kinds of different things. I've done poker chip websites, snowboard-based websites, stand-up paddleboard-based websites. Like I've been all over the map. And that's one of the biggest challenges is chasing the shiny objects. And that also goes down the route of clicking on those Facebook ads that are promising $1 million in 30 days by clicking a button twice, and even listening to those pitches and not unsubscribing fast enough from those people. And so managing my focus is what I would say was the biggest challenge. And that manifests in the two ways of me doing all kinds of different projects and buying courses and letting other people's opinions into my head, versus one thing, one niche, one plan, execute every effing day for 3 years. The shortcut in this game is to work on one site, one business, one niche for 3 years straight. And I know it sounds awkward, like 3 years, that's a shortcut. Man, if you could really start generating 20, 30, 50 grand a month, every month in 3 years, hell yeah, that's a shortcut. I don't know any other business you can actually climb that kind of a ladder. I've seen people do it in one. I'm just saying, like the average person, 3 to 5 years type thing. Some people, it might take 5, 10, it might take even longer, but the result and the reward and the lifestyle freedom is so worth it. But it's that focus. We have to focus on one thing long enough to actually get there. And most people, they do this for a little bit, and then, oh man, FBA is hot, I'm gonna jump over there. Cool. Ooh, drop shipper delight paradise special, I'm gonna do that over there. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, this MLM thing, buy into this coaching and sell the coaching and make 50. Oh, I'm gonna do that. Okay, cool. All of a sudden 10 years go by, they've done nothing but spend money and spin their wheels, and they have nothing to show for it. Whereas the person who does one thing, one niche, one focus, 1 to 3 years, they will create a totally successful business.
I fell in that same trap too. I mean, I've dabbled in Amazon, and I did it for months, and then it fizzled out. I've dabbled in drop shipping, fizzled out. And yeah, it's that exact thing. I look behind me and I was like, man, 4 years just went by. What if I would have just been consistent in what I'm doing for 4 years, where I would be right now so much different. So that's such good advice right there. Just to, nail it down, commit, and just tell yourself, hey, like 3 to 5 years, I'm just going to keep pushing forward. And that's kind of where I'm at mentally right now, is just, I realize it's going to take a few years, but I mean, I'm just staying consistent, or trying to be more consistent, and staying committed for the most part.
Well, that's the one thing you can control, right? The output. So you can condense a 3-year, you can hustle so hard, you could turn a 3-year learning curve into a 1-year learning curve. Like that is possible for you. It's going to mean waking up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be grinding out and saying no to friends and no to these fun things that are going on. Is it worth it? That's a very personal thing. Another big shift really in the same idea to really kind of help kind of like sum this up for people is make it about your audience. Get it off yourself. It ain't about me. It's about the audience, right? It's really truly about them. And when it becomes about them, it becomes a little bit bigger than me. So my problems are pretty small because it's about the audience. It's about being of service at scale to an audience. And like it can be teaching baby boomers how to use their eye devices. And there could be a cush living in that. Think about it. Baby boomers have money. They bought the expensive devices. Do you think they could afford a $47 product on how to use this fancy thing they just bought? Of course they can. They're the only ones who can afford things. So sell things to baby boomers, right? It makes sense, but you got to stick with it long enough because we're all tested. We get tested by the search engines. We get tested by our ego. It don't come easy to anybody.
Yeah, for sure. Miles, thanks so much, man. Such good advice in this episode. So many tactics, so many strategies for people who have been in online business and maybe are trying to see some better results, or for those who are just getting started. How can people connect with you? Where can they find your content?
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for having me on. I totally appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun to get to kind of chop it up, and you can just search for Miles Beckler. My blog's milesbeckler.com. I'm the only Miles Beckler in the world, so I'm pretty easy to find. YouTube.com/Miles B. So I didn't own that name, but just search YouTube Miles Beckler. I'm on there. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, the basics. But my most consistent information comes out on YouTube or my blog.
Perfect. I'll throw up some links in the show notes and on the website as well, so you guys can find Miles Beckler, like he said, on his website, his YouTube channel, that sort of stuff. I look forward to personally continuing to learn from you, to watch your videos, to listen to your content. You've got such good advice. And I mean, you're already killing it, but I know that you're going to continue to kill it and keep growing. So I wish you all the best in your journey as we continue to hustle.
Right on, man. I appreciate it.
There you have it, guys. Miles Beckler. Wow, what a great episode with so many tips, so many strategies. Let's get after it. Let's stay consistent in posting our content, and let's have that long-term vision. We know that this is going to take time. This might take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, but is it worth it to you? Is it worth it to spend a little bit of your downtime, a little bit of your free time creating something special? There's so much opportunity these days that there's space for everyone to grab a little bit of the pie if you're willing to put in the work, stay consistent, stay patient, and keep hustling to make things happen. If you like this episode, guys, please do me a huge favor and jump on iTunes and click a few stars, whether that's 1 star or 5 stars. It would help me out a ton. I would really appreciate it. And if you could, share this episode with someone who is considering starting an online business. It has a YouTube channel, a podcast, anything like that, that needs a little bit of extra motivation, a little bit of advice. And let's see what we can do to share the love with those people. All right, guys, thanks again for listening to this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.